update the group a little bit on what you and the staff saw from Saturday's game and a little preview of what you're looking forward to with the home opener.
Yeah, I thought the effort was pretty good from standing on the sidelines and then also watching the film. Certainly the execution's got to get a whole lot better. You know, we watched the film a lot yesterday, and I think the players understand there were some opportunities offensively, what we call touchdown opportunities that we didn't execute that normally we would, and we got to get better on that. And defensively, it was the first game in the new scheme, but you know, we got to tackle a little bit better. Certainly, the effort was really good, but there's a lot of things we got to get better. Special teams was average for us, in our opinion, but there's our guys. Again, I like the way they work. They came to work yesterday and got a good practice in, rest up today, and then get ready for Grambling starting tomorrow.
When you watched the film on Anu, how'd you evaluate how he did?
You know, he competed, he made some nice plays, but he also missed some plays that he normally would make. And he saw the field well at times, and other times he didn't see it as well as he has in the past. So I got, you know, Coach Smith, I got a lot of confidence that he can make those plays going forward. We just got to do that as a group. You know, there were some veterans that made, you know, some mental mistakes that they normally wouldn't make, and those are things that I know they'll get corrected in a hurry, and we have to get better.
When you take a look at the video, you probably say, oh, I wish I did this differently or that differently. Is it too wacky to say, what if Nick Wilson had taken a knee on the 1 yard line just so you had the ball last?
You mean when he scored?
Yeah.
No, the only thing, no, I would, you know, when you're behind, you want to score. But I did think, oh gosh, they still had a lot of time left. That was the thing. But you know, at the time we were struggling so bad offensively that just to get a touchdown was kind of a key. And you know, what was disappointing was our kickoff has been good, and we let them get out to the 30, so they had great field position to start, and then you know they hit a couple pass plays. But you know, it seemed like one of the factors probably after watching the film again, particularly special teams, they did a great job pinning us in there. I don't know how many drives we started, not inside the 5, inside the 1. And, you know, even though we got out of there a little bit, it's still tough to go 99 yards. And we've got to get better field position going forward because we're not, you know, we're an explosive team, but to go ask anybody to go 3 or 4, I think it was at least 2 times, maybe 3 times starting on the 1 yard line is kind of tough.
Speaking of Nick and the running backs, did you hope to get Orlando and JJ more touches? And was
We
that
did.
a product of just
Yeah,
running
we did,
as
and
many
we-
plays as you had hoped?
Yeah, we did, and they'll get more going forward. Both those guys, Orlando and JJ.
Coach, it seemed like your tempo was a little bit slower than it normally had been in the past. Is there any reasoning behind that, or?
I didn't think so. The only reason that probably if it was because we were backed up. And it's a little harder to go fast when you're backed up than when you're out on the field, so to speak. So, and I think a little bit too was, you know, first game things, but I didn't, on the sidelines, I didn't feel that, hey, we need to speed things up a little bit. But I always like to go faster, so hopefully we can with better field position.
Do you hope to get Brandon into the game
Yeah,
this week?
yeah, there was times where I was close to putting him in the game Saturday, just to get him a couple of series, because he does bring a different element. I mean, he's a good athlete and can run. So, yeah, I did. I would have liked to have got him in there a couple of series. It was just weird. We only had 30 plays, limited possessions in the first half. But going forward, we'll be conscious of that.
Is there a big gap between him and Anu? Probably not, but Brandon and Anu, or is it really close?
It's close. Yeah, it's close. And, you know, the thing Anu had brought, that, you know, experience and seeing the field, and the things that Brandon's getting better at. But it's still, you know, I don't like to have a guy play at any position where I make one mistake, I'm going to be pulled out. I want him to play freely and without stress as far as making mistakes. But at quarterback, certainly you got to be productive and you got to make the right decisions, make the right reads. And we put a lot on our quarterback. I've said this many times. It's not just in the pass game. There's a lot of times in the run game where a quarterback's making decisions. And so typically they get better as the season goes along. But Anu's got enough experience that he'll correct those mistakes.
Is that one of Brandon's issues, if that's a word?
No, not really, not anymore. I mean, he's got better. The biggest thing for him is, you know, having a command on the entire offense and being accurate on some of his throws, but he's gotten better. Like I said, we'll see how it is going forward. I don't, you know, we discuss it and we practice with it, and at some point, if we're moving the ball and scoring, great. We'll leave the guy in there. If we're not, we may not. It's not real complicated science theory there.
When you were watching tape of Anu, how many times did you ask yourself or wonder Anu tucking in just running instead of?
Well, there were a couple times to run, but not as many times to run as just as throwing it in the proper. They were playing us in a little. We weren't sure how they were going to play us, and they played us in a couple different coverages that we had seen before, but we recognized it really quickly in the first quarter and communicate with the guys, and we just missed some open things that normally we would not miss, and that you're going to miss some of those in all the games, but usually in the first game. But there were a couple of times he maybe could have ran, but more than anything, stepping up and hitting a couple big throws like he's accustomed to doing will help us going forward.
Is the defense as much of an unknown today as it was 1 week ago?
In some respects, I thought we played hard, but we didn't create any turnovers, and some of that is they did a good job. They got an experienced quarterback that's very accurate. Their backs did a good job protecting the ball, but it's everyone says, well, you got to get turnovers. Well, you can't just talk about it. Talking and saying, hey, we got to get turnovers is not going to create turnovers. You got to create turnovers by aggressive play, by creating some confusion, by making them being uncomfortable, and we weren't able to do that at times defensively. So I think that was why we never had any field position. We got to be able to create some turnovers going forward.
Do you take anything away from a team that beats a Division II team 72-12, as Grambling State did?
No, I look more at what they did last year. I mean, even though every game counts, I look at, they're 9-2, they're a good 1AA, very athletic quarterback, very good running back, athletic guys at the perimeter, and they challenge you with some. They'll blitz a lot. They'll bring pressure. They did against Cal. They did against everybody. Well, we got to be ready to play. They'll play with a chip on their shoulder. But we got to, our first concern now is getting us better, and then certainly throughout Tuesday and Wednesday's practices, we'll practice for their schemes.
You tweaked the depth chart a little bit at linebacker, putting Michael Barton over at Willie. You're trying to get him into the game.
Oh, did I? Let me see.
Well, they-
I speak out of ignorance because I don't know what Blair puts out there. Sometimes Blair feels like, this guy should be starting, so I got to watch Blair. So what did he do? What Blair did? Paul, McGlure, or Michael Barton? Oh, the biggest reason. Okay, that's good. Good for Michael. I love him. Graduate transfer. The biggest reason I think there's an or there is that we got to get Michael in the game more. He played a few snaps last weekend, but he's an active guy, and we didn't get him in the game as much as we like, so he'll play a lot more this weekend.
Coach, how pleased were you with the play of Anthony Mariscal?
I think he did okay for his first time. He didn't play nervous. His eyes were pretty good. He tackled pretty well. But again, defensively, I thought it was solid at times, but not as my expectations. I'm sure Coach Yates as well is higher than that. So we got to get better.
Coach, what did you think of Tellis Jones's performance overall?
Tellis is very active. He's one of our most athletic players, period, on either side of the ball. And he's all over the field when he's in there now. Certainly he's nicked up a little bit, so we'll see if he's available for Saturday. But you notice him when he's there because he's so active.
What happened to him?
Thursday, you'll find out. He tweaked an ankle. I don't know if he'll practice tomorrow or not.
When you looked at the offensive line performance, what were your kind of main takeaways from that?
Probably more solid after watching the film than my initial impression after the game. And they got a lot of different looks. There were just a couple, you have one breakdown with one guy, it messed the whole play up on offense. And we had a few of those, but I thought they were a solid front, BYU, and I thought they did a solid job against it. And particularly, we had a couple guys starting for the first time, starting redshirt freshman center for the first time. He competed pretty well. But in the things, again, I said this after the game Saturday, and I'm confirmed to watching film yesterday a couple of times, that the things that we need to get fixed are fixable. It's not something like, oh, gosh, this will be an issue all year. No, it shouldn't be. We can get them fixed.
More specifically, how did Nathan
He played, I thought he played pretty solid. It wasn't great, but he didn't play nervous. He snapped well. He was seeing the field well, and did a pretty solid job for his first start.
Were they zone blitzing? They would sometimes seem like
Some.
a bunch of guys would rush and then they'd kind of like queue off.
Yeah, you're getting pretty versed in the football knowledge here. You want to talk about zone droppers and roll coverages, and that's good. And run pass options, RPOs. We call them RPOs, run pass options. So we had some of those called, and we didn't execute them. But no, they did that, and we expected some of that. Some of the coverages that they threw out early were a little bit different from what we thought they would do. But, again, our coaches and players we knew it from the first quarter on. Just didn't hit some things that were there, and just could never get in a rhythm, really, until the end of the game.
You've had Anu for 2+ years now. And
3 now, right?
Plus the redshirt year. Confidence-wise, what kind of kid is he, and how can he move on from stuff?
You know, he's more mature, and he made some plays. So, but he's hard on him. He's as harder on himself than we are. And trust me, Coach Smith and I are pretty hard on him at times. And I think a quarterback naturally feels the brunt of everything when your team doesn't play well or doesn't win. But he's conscientious enough to understand it. Just yesterday's practice, there was a couple things he did in practice that we wanted to see in the game, and he was, determined to do it. So he's a lot more competitive than maybe he sometimes lets on with his personality, and he'll get better. He'll get better.
So when he says this game's on me or whatever, and you're on.
Well, I don't believe all that. I think it's admirable to take that, but it's never one guy. It's never one guy. Now, certainly everybody wants to play better, and you want to everybody take ownership in it, but, we didn't lose that game because of New Solomon. We lost the game because we didn't coach or play as well as we can. You got to give them some credit for that.
How encouraging is it that there weren't many penalties for the first time?
Well, I'd hope so. We take a lot of pride in it. There were a couple that were really pre-snap penalties that should never happen. Not having enough guys on the line on the opening punt, and there were a couple pre-snap offensive penalties which we take pride in not having that. So we played a pretty clean game outside of that, but we also needed to force more penalties. It's kind of strange. A lot of times you can force penalties with effort, particularly on defense. And I don't know if there was a holding penalty called or not. Was there in the whole game? That's kind of odd. But we've got to work on that.
There are a couple non-freshman defensive linemen who didn't dress, Finton Connolly and Darryl Coy. Is there a reason?
Yeah, they weren't playing. They weren't in 2 deep, but it's usually a pretty good idea. If they're not dressed, they're not going to play. But they're working hard. I like both those guys.
Is David Colassione, is he unable physically to play this season because of his knee that he hurt?
No. He's practicing full speed.
He is?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else for Coach?
Oh, Keenan Walker, did he face any discipline or suspension or anything because of what happened in the offseason?
You didn't see him play, did you?
No. But,
Okay.
but he was also rehabbing, so I was wondering if it was.
He didn't play. He's healthy.
Okay.
He wasn't playing in the first game. And I don't know when he will. The head coach will make that decision at some point.
Anything else for Coach? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.